14 years. That's how long my wife and I were together before she looked out the passenger window of my car and said something that quietly destroyed everything. She didn't yell. She didn't accuse me. She just sighed and said, "You're predictable, Daniel." And 6 weeks later, I found out she'd been sleeping with an artist from the gallery she volunteered at. What she didn't realize was that the man she called predictable had already started planning his exit. And when the dust settled, she discovered something the hard way. Stability isn't boring until it's gone. Before we get into the story, if you've ever felt unappreciated in a relationship, taken for granted, or like the person building the life was the only one who cared about protecting it, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and stay until the end. Because this husband-wife story transformation might hit closer to home than you expect. 14 years. That's how long Claire and I had been together when she said the word. Predictable. Not boring. Not dull. Predictable. Like somehow that word sounded more intelligent, more thoughtful, less cruel. But it landed exactly the same. She said on a Tuesday evening while we were driving home from dinner. Dinner at a restaurant she chose. Eating food I paid for. Driving in a car I bought. Heading back to a house my work had financed. She was staring out the passenger window at the city lights like she was watching someone else's life. Then she said it casually, "You're just so predictable, Daniel." I kept my eyes on the road. "How do you mean?" She sighed. "Same restaurants. Same weekends. Same conversations. Same everything." Then she turned and looked at me. "Don't you ever want more? Something unexpected? Something that makes you feel alive?" That question sat in the air between us. Because in that moment, my mind went somewhere else. Not to anger, to numbers, to memories, to the 70-hour work weeks I'd been putting in for 3 years building my consulting firm. To the mortgage payments, to the retirement accounts, to the savings fund I'd quietly been building for the future she always talked about. The countryside property, the small business she dreamed of starting one day, the peaceful life she said she wanted. I also thought about something she didn't know. For the last 2 years, I'd been paying her mother's rent. Claire mentioned once that her mom was struggling financially. She never asked me to help. She just sounded worried. So I fixed the problem quietly. Every month. For 2 years. Predictable. Reliable. Boring. Apparently. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I nodded slightly and said, "I'll think about being more spontaneous." She looked back out the window. Sure. Just one word. But the way she said it made it feel like the conversation had already ended long before I realized it started. And I should have paid attention to that, because that word carried weight. And 6 weeks later, everything came apart. Her name was Tristan. I found out on a Saturday morning. Not through snooping. Not through a dramatic discovery. Claire told me herself. She stood in the kitchen, already dressed, keys in her hand like she might need to leave quickly. "I need to tell you something." I set down my coffee. "I've been spending time with someone." I nodded slowly. Someone from the gallery. She had been volunteering at a local art gallery for 4 months. I actually encouraged it. She seemed restless, unhappy. I thought it might help. "His name is Tristan," she said. "He's one of the artists." I watched her for a long moment. "Spending time," I repeated. "Yes. It's become more than friendship." The room became quiet. "How long?" I asked. 2 months. 2 months. While I worked late nights. While I planned our future. While I paid the mortgage. While I paid her mother's rent. While I funded the yoga studio membership she rarely attended. The online courses she started but never finished. The girls' trips she took with friends. And the entire life she was currently questioning. "And what do you want now?" I asked calmly. She exhaled slowly. "I need time." "Time?" "Yes. To figure out what I want. Time. While married. Time to explore feelings for another man." I stood up. "I need to make a call." Then I walked in my home office and closed the door. I stared at the framed photo on my desk. Claire and me. For years earlier. Sitting on a dock at a lake. Laughing in the sunlight. "We'll look happy." I picked up my phone and called my friend Rob. "Rob." "Yeah." "I need the best family lawyer you know." Silence. "What happened?" "My wife found an artist." 5 minutes later, he texted me a name. "Margaret." Some people panic in moments like this. I don't. I organize. Emotion without information is just noise. So the following week, I met Margaret in her office downtown. She listened carefully, then asked 3 questions. Is the house in both names? Yes. Joint accounts? 2. Checking and savings. Your business? Separate. Built before marriage. Do you have documentation? I nodded. Everything. Tax returns. Mortgage payments. Bank transfers. Receipts. Records. I've always been meticulous with finances. Margaret leaned back in her chair. That helps. Then she asked something unexpected. Do you want to save the marriage? I thought about Claire standing in the kitchen that morning. Already dressed. Already prepared. Already halfway out the door. No. Margaret nodded. Then we proceed. 8 days later, the credit card stopped working. I removed Claire from the joint credit line. Standard legal advice. Financial separation. Nothing dramatic. Just boundaries. I also notified the property management company for her mother's apartment. Payments would stop in 30 days. That evening, Claire walked into the kitchen looking furious. My card was declined. Yes. You removed me? Yes. You filed for divorce? Yes. Without telling me, I told you exactly where this was going. Then she mentioned her mother. You can't stop helping her. Yes, I can. Her voice softened. That familiar tone she used when she wanted something. My mother has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with it. Why? Because the money paying her rent came from the same income paying this house. She stared at me. You've changed. No, I said calmly. Avec clarified. 2 weeks later, Claire moved out. Her sister helped pack boxes. I carried some to the car. Not sarcastically, not bitterly, just quietly. Her sister Natalie pulled me aside. I love my sister, she said. But she wasn't fair to you. I know. Are you going to be okay? I looked at the house behind me. 14 years of effort. 14 years of structure. 14 years of responsibility. Yes, I said. I think I'm going to be very okay. They drove away. And for the first time in years, the house was quiet. I walked into the living room and moved the couch. Claire always hated that layout. I always preferred it. And suddenly, there was no one left to disagree. Mediation happened in October. Her attorney argued everything you'd expect. Long marriage, household contributions, lifestyle expectations. Margaret simply presented documentation, inheritance records, mortgage history, bank transfers, 14 years of numbers. Calm, precise, undeniable. By early afternoon, the outcome was clear. Claire received a portion of home equity, her belongings, a modest settlement. She did not receive spousal support. My business remained mine, completely intact. She signed. I signed. And just like that, 14 years became paperwork. Outside the mediation room, Claire stopped me. I didn't understand what I had. I said nothing. I thought something more authentic was out there. What happened with Tristan? She looked down. He didn't want anything serious. Silence. He actually told me that, she admitted. I just didn't hear it. I'm sorry, I said. And I meant it. But not enough to undo anything. Are you okay? She asked. Yes. You always land on your feet. Not always. I just learned how. She nodded. Then we walked away in opposite directions. The divorce finalized the following spring. I remember sitting at the kitchen table with the paperwork, expecting relief or grief. Instead, I felt something quieter. Completion, like finishing a long, exhausting project. The space it occupied in my life suddenly became empty. Available. A year later, I went back to that lake from the photo. I sat on the same dock, watched the same water, but I didn't feel haunted. I felt something simple. Acknowledgement. What we had once was real, but real things still end. And sometimes the person who builds the life isn't the one who appreciates it. I sat there for an hour. Then I drove home, to my house, my business, my life. Predictable maybe, but entirely, completely, mine. Marriage isn't just about love. It's about appreciation. Because stability can look boring to someone who's never had to build it. And sometimes the people who enjoy the life you create only understand its value after they destroy it. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Was Daniel right to cut off the financial support immediately? Or should he have handled it differently? And if you enjoy powerful husband-wife transformation stories like this, make sure you subscribe, because there's a new story every week. I'll see you in the next one.